In this video, I'm going to share with you a quick behind-the-scenes process that I use to come up with a brand new product for BestSelf in just a few days. Now, if you're watching this, maybe you wonder, where do ideas come from? They come from anywhere and everywhere. So if you look around you right now, everything that you can see and you can touch at one point started as an idea in someone's head. And often, for many of us, it starts with a problem that we want to solve for ourselves. But don't get me wrong, it's difficult to just be like, okay, between 9 and 12, I'm gonna sit on my desk and I'm gonna come up with an idea. Trust me, I've tried and it doesn't work. So how do we make coming up with an idea something that we can do often? It is not a linear process, and it is not sitting at a desk saying, okay, now's the time to come up with an idea. So let me share with you about how I came up with this idea for this product that we just launched at BestSelf called the Appreciation Notes. Now, the idea behind this came from a book that I was reading called The Compound Effect. Over the last few years, I've created a system for my book notes, for articles that I want to remember, and things that I want to retain so that I don't have to reread things over again. Given I'd read this book prior to having the system, I wanted to reread it and have my notes. And if you want to learn more on my book note system and how I retain more of what I read, hit subscribe because we have a video coming up on how I do that next. Anyway, back to this idea. So I'm rereading this book, and in the book, Darren Hardy mentions this idea of creating a gratitude journal for his wife. Just a notebook that he would write in every single day of something he was grateful for and how it impacted their whole relationship. It's a super simple idea, yet it got me thinking of how I'd create a simple tool for couples so that they would be able to do that. Now, in 2019, we came out with this product called the Intimacy Deck, which has prompts to help you communicate with your partner. And that product has been such a tremendous success, not just for the business, but really for our customers and their relationships. With thousands of 5-star reviews, we've gotten incredible stories from people from all parts of the relationship journey, from literally being on a few dates to being married for 20 years and learning more about each other. There were even some that were on the brink of divorce, but somehow they made their way back because they actually started talking and communicating again. Now, I'm not saying that we got them back together, we just created a tool. They were the ones that sat down and actually used it. So that's what got me thinking between this book and this simple idea of a tool. What's something else that we could do to build on this? And that's when I was reading this book, the idea of daily gratitude, appreciation, jumped out at me as that is a perfect idea of something we could create at BestSelf. Now, in relationships, it's so easy to just fall into the negative, to only see what someone does wrong or how they could have done something better. And if you keep doing this over time, it will drive a wedge between you and your partner. You do not want to always live in this negative headspace. So the idea behind the Appreciation Notes is to create a tool to prime your mind towards the positive, to have a little task every day to find something positive about your partner and to write it down. You might think that this act seems super simple, of course I can do that, yet it's simple enough that it doesn't take a lot of work to do, and if you do it consistently over time, it compounds and creates a huge change in your relationship. You are creating the intention towards taking a few minutes every day to write something positive about your partner that will often have you showing up differently, which in turn will have them showing up differently because you are coming with a more positive attitude, and it can completely change what happens in your relationship. I'll bring you into the product development process and share a little bit about, okay, how do you go from this idea to a physical product? What does that step look like? Now, once we have this original idea, we want to flesh it out a little bit by writing a product story. That's what we call it. It's basically how do we want people to feel after using it? How do we want people to find it? We develop a story for each product that we want to come out with before we do anything with design. We truly want to understand what the problem is that we're solving and what is the best solution for this problem. Once we have that, we create a one-pager on how we would market the product. So we don't just think like, okay, what's the benefits, but how would we actually sell this to people? And these are just one-pagers so that we know before we design anything what it is that we're trying to do. Now, this is something I learned from Amazon, I think. So before they ever develop a product, they create a press release for how they would sell it before it's even created. So they sell as in like, this is what's gonna be in the newspaper. Even though it's only for internal use, it helps to get everyone on the same page. Now, once we have the product story and the sort of marketing ideas, we start to get to work on, okay, what does the actual product look like? I want it not to be a journal, but to be a pocket notebook, something that they can carry with them wherever they go, and it doesn't seem like it's gonna be a lot of work. I wanted it to be a simple tool so that people don't feel like this is another big piece of homework I have to do. And the reason for that is because if it feels very small and simple, it's gonna be much easier for them to adopt it into their daily life. If I say, okay, sit down and write a whole page about your partner every single day, that's like really high friction level, especially if you're already so busy and you have a busier day, you're gonna just fall off the wagon. If I say sit down and take less than a minute to write one thing that you appreciate about your partner, that's so much easier and therefore much more likely to be done. So this is the kind of ideas that I think of whenever I'm developing a product, is like, how will people use this and how do I reduce the friction as much as possible? Another thing we decided was to create prompts for people to write from when they're stuck. And this way they wouldn't be caught in the same loop every single day. When it came to the design, we created a pocket notebook a few years ago called the Sidekick, which was an everyday carry for your ideas. And taking the same size, that's where I started the design for this and what it would look like. So each spread is a week with a unique prompt at the bottom to give you ideas of where to go from. It comes in a set of 2, so for each partner. Each appreciation notebook covers, I think, 20 weeks. And over those 20 weeks, you will be showing up with a positive mindset, primed to, okay, I'm gonna write something great about my partner every single day. And then your partner is also going to be doing the same thing. And it's a cause and effect model. So for each of you, deciding to look at the positive will mean you're both showing up better, which means you will have more things to write in the pocket notebook over time. And that just, compounds like interest over time to make sure that you are improving your relationship. So you can make a habit out of it. So you can sit down each week, maybe go over what you wrote down, date night. The appreciation notes is a gift that gives over and over again, from you showing up with positive intent, from the moments you have like sharing what you've written in there, until you write and fill it up, and you can gift it to your partner so they have a keepsake that they can have to look at, whenever they want. Once we have the behaviors we want to create, it makes the actual design of the product much quicker and easier, because now we have a story, now we know how they want to use it, now we know what's the friction that we need to remove. So you can see how much work goes into the product before I even sketch any design out. And often I'll sketch out on paper what I'm thinking as far as structure goes, and only then do I go into InDesign and lay out, okay, this is what the actual product looks like. So that's kind of the behind the scenes of going from, okay, I read an interesting concept, how do I take that, create a tool for people, how do I want them to feel, and this is what the end result looked like. So it's a 2-pack, one for each of you, and it looks super simple, but so much thinking goes into this because we want to make something super simple but really impactful, and you can get this on bestself.co. If you want more behind the scenes, ideas on bringing your products to life, then subscribe to Little Mite, because I'm going to be coming out with more content on bringing your ideas to life and creating an impact.